Buffalo in the playoffs.
Game 1 is in the books for the Maple Leafs, and we're going to break it all down for you, that and more. Welcome, everyone, back to the Puck and Leafs podcast. I'm Joe Choffs with Coach Frank. Frankie, Game 1, all done. Let's get into what we thought, what we liked, what we didn't like. But first, we have to discuss what the biggest news of the night was. And you know damn right what I'm talking about, don't you?
It wasn't the Auston Matthews hat trick.
No, you see, everyone thinks I'm going to go there. We are going to go there, but not just yet. I think the biggest news, and everyone was talking about it before the game, is the new goal song, baby. What did you think? Pursuit of Happiness.
Well, if you look through my my Spotify, I can honestly say there is no Kid Cudi in my artists. So
you gotta add him now. Now he's definitely gonna be
I think
part of
I
it.
do. It's kind of sad that my wife and my son know what it is, and he's only 6, or 7. Sorry.
What does that tell you about yourself?
That I listen to way too much 80s and sports podcasts and stuff like that. So, oh man, it's like wasn't really on my list of songs.
It wasn't even on my radar, dude.
Not even close.
But
it was like, you know, those.
Okay,
here's the comparison I make to it. If you're a wrestling fan like I am, and you know where I'm gonna go with this, you remember like those guys used to like lose to like Jake the Snake Roberts in the ring, or or like they knew you were gonna get their ass kicked on Saturday mornings, and they come up with some
didn't
generic
even have an entrance music. They were just in the ring, and they announced them in the ring.
Generic entrance music, or even better, when like TSN used to show the scores from the night before, and they used to use this really generic music. That's what it reminded me of. It was just generic. Okay, maybe we're not doing it justice.
Think it's generic. No way, man. No.
Maybe we're I'm being a little harsh because I actually wasn't there, kind of, experience it live. But I just thought they were going to go with something a little bit more well known, with like something you can cheer to, or not, or follow along, like a chant like they have in Chicago or New York. So that's just kind of a letdown for me.
Frankie, you mentioned that your 6-year-old son knows the song. That's like the audience that they're going for. They don't care about you or me. They care about
they should
getting
paying for the ticket.
Yeah. I like the song, and I thought it's got good vibes to it. What I don't like about the choice is that I like a song that brings the crowd into it, and the crowd can be part of it. And I'll give a good example. If anybody's listened to the New York Rangers goal song, there's a section of it where all the fans in the arena chant a certain section of the song. I thought they should go for a song, something like that. I want to Kickstart My Heart from Motley Crue, because there's definitely a couple parts in that song that the crowd could get into it and be part of it. But I understand the choice, and it's popular amongst the young people. I get it. We're not so young anymore. And well, I am not you so much, obviously.
I wanted Alter Bridge by Metalingus.
Yeah. See, so yeah, it would have been my first choice, but I didn't mind it. They are talking about how they're going to have a new goal song for different types of games. Also, like the next gen game, they might have a new goal song for that. Things like
But they did say they were going to have, if I understood it correct, it was one for original 6 games, which was tonight. I don't know the connection there, but there's one for original 6, one for next gen, one for Throwback Thursdays, so when they play at home on Thursdays, regardless of who they're playing, and then a normal one. So hey, let's see what they come up with. You got to know Bieber is going to be in one of them. I guarantee you it'd be a Bieber song in there for the next gen game.
Do you think Bieber gives Austin a shout out and is like, "Yo, Pappy, I heard they're changing the goal song. You get my song in there, buddy." Do you think he makes that call to him?
100%, 100%. I am actually a fan of almost like how baseball does it with like walk-up songs. Depending on who scores, they have their own.
I think the Sabres do that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's different, right? So you got a kind of a variation. So anyways, listen, the whole city's been talking about it. We just spent 3 minutes on it.
There you go.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
All right, so let's get into the game. Just to break it all down, you and I usually do a segment when we're breaking down a game that we just watched. We usually say, give us your good, your bad, and your leafy. And for anybody that's never listened to us before, good is basically something you like, bad is something you didn't like, and then leafy is something that only really happens to this team. like losing to a Zamboni driver, you would say, oh, it's so Leafy. Losing 4-1 in Game 7, you'd say, oh, only the Leafs, so Leafy. So why don't you give me yours, and then I'll give you mine, and then from there we'll catapult into what else we liked and like maybe about the game.
Yeah, sure. I guess the easiest one would be Matthews, but I'll leave that to you. I'm actually going to go a different route here. I really, for what he is, I thought he had a nice debut, and I'm going to go with John Klingberg. I thought Klingberg had a nice night. He led the here's an interesting stat, Joe. He led the D in ice time tonight, 24 minutes, which is a pretty nice chunk of time for a guy making his debut, especially for a guy who didn't play in the last maybe 3 or 4 preseason games. So kind of coming in, not a lot of reps, and it's never easy making your debut at home. So for what he is, I thought he had a nice night with 2 assists. It was a +2. He did have a couple of nice shooting attempts from the point, which, geez,
we've been screaming for that for a while. Yeah,
right. Right-handed shot, and he kept that puck in on the on the game tying goal from Auston Matthews. So all in all, I thought it was a good debut from him specifically, and which is important because I'm looking, one thing that the Leafs didn't have a lot of last year was offense from the point. And, leaving that up to Riley, it's great. Like, Riley had a great playoff, but needed to kind of take some of the shoulder, kind of the lift off his shoulders. And then Klingberg is going to provide that on the offensive side. Don't get me wrong, guys. He's not a defensive stalwart. I totally expect like a 60-point minus 20 year from Klingberg, but you got to take the good with the bad. So I'm going to take that one.
All right. And for my good, obviously, I'll go with the obvious one. Captain Obvious. It's Auston Matthews. Hattie on the season debut. He now has 2 Hatties on his season debut. He's got the most goals in a season opener for a Leaf.
Yep.
I thought I didn't.
And he almost had 4. He almost had 4.
Yes. I wasn't crazy about his first period. I thought he needed to get more involved. And then the second, the third, the overtime, I thought he was all over it and looked really good. So when the game is out of reach, he's the type of player that can literally grab the team by the neck and pull you right back into it. Yep. And he makes the big play at the end to get the tying goal. So for me, it's Auston. Let's go with that. And now you're bad. There was quite a few tonight that you could choose from.
Oh, bad. I know I like to focus on this a lot because I think it's really important. But I'm going to go with Ilya Samsonov. I've been saying to you for a while, Joe, I not to sound negative in all of this, but I still think at some point it's going to be Joe Wall's net. I don't know why. I just think that I think there's more of a competition now that he's not only had some regular season games, but also playing the playoffs for the Leafs. And nothing seemed to phase this kid other than, injuries. But, Samsonov's coming into a different scenario this year where, he's coming off. He wins a series for the Leafs last year. So already he's playing with house money. Didn't have a great preseason. Sorry, even before that, went through arbitration with the Leafs, signed a 1-year deal. So it's another show me type of deal. Has a chance to cash in. Comes into preseason, not a great preseason. Comes into tonight knowing that he's the guy. Everybody knows that Ilya Samsonov's starting tonight. And he just looked, if there's one thing about Samsonov, he does tend to lose focus here and there.
Not comfortable. He
just looks uncomfortable in there. And I saw that tonight. And I'm saying to myself, buddy, the Leafs didn't let in 5 goals till about like mid-December last year. A lot of that was, the Leafs and turnovers in the defense, but he's got to make a save. I thought some of those goals, most of them tonight were stoppable. The one that went off of Brody and Giordano, okay, I give you that, but they need a save. Look at Jake Allen tonight. He made that save on that cross crease pass from Bertuzzi to Matthews. Sure enough, what happens? Montreal comes back down and ties the game on a power play. So again, I'm not saying he's garbage. I'm not saying to trade him. I just expected a he's going to have to take this net by the throat, because I would not be shocked at all if Joel Wall starts on Sunday. Sorry, on Saturday against Minnesota.
I think they go right back to him. I didn't think he had his best tonight, but I thought a lot of those goals were not his fault. So I'll push back like on that one. Like that fifth goal, he comes out to close the angle, and you got to give that
Great
kid credit on Montreal. What a beautiful backhand shelf.
Yep.
I'll give Montreal credit. Whenever the Leafs made a mistake today, they made them pay for it. They were very opportunistic, and that's my bad, is the giveaways. There were so many giveaways today, and it was like gifts. Like, here, it's a season debut. Welcome to Toronto. Take a nice, I'll fall on my ass so that you can go on a breakaway. Like, they had many of those today, and get credit to Habs, man. I'll say this. I think they can't. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to be better than some people think. And they've got some game breakers like Caulfield. Caulfield could score 40. He totally can. And if a year really goes well for him, he could even get 50. He obviously has to stay healthy, but he's got that type of potential, I think. So give the Habs credit, but the giveaways today, they got to really shore up. And you mentioned, like, they didn't allow 5 goals till December last year. Yeah. They're game 1 and it's already here. So sharpen that up. Don't give freebies to the other team. This league is way too hard. You do not need to give another team a freebie, let alone 2 or 3. So clean that up. That's what I would say for next game. And I'll go back to you. What do you think was Leafy for you?
Well, same coach, new GM, a lot of new players. Starting on time, man. It's the same thing every year. I'm gonna go gray.
Since the Babcock era.
Like, what the hell is wrong with these guys in the first period, in the third period? It's starting on time. These guys can't get it right. And that it's just one of these things where it's like, you think it only affects the Leafs because, like, obviously, a lot of the games that we watch, but it's just the same thing over and over. And can I just add another quick one on top of that? David Kampf again starts the overtime, and it leads to a victory. I don't know what it is about that allure of Kampf, but
the other teams don't know what to do, man. That defensive acumen, they buckle.
Now, if you remember, when we did this pod halfway through the year last year, I came out with an idea, and I'll find it, that David Kampf should start the overtime with Sandin and Liljegren. And sure enough,
the next practice, Sheldon Keefe tried it. Or sorry, the next game. Sorry.
Sheldon Keefe is a listener of the Puck and Leafs podcast. I have no doubts about. Listen, if John Cena follows this pod, there's no reason why Sheldon Keefe is a listener of our podcast. So shout out to Coach Sheldon.
Big fan of the show. For Leafy, for me, I thought William Nylander today was incredible. Like, every time he touched the puck, it felt like he was going to make something happen. The way he transitions the puck and gains the zone, he's so dangerous. It's a contract year for him. Obviously, he wants to do well. It would be so Leafy if they tried to play hardball with him at the beginning of the year. They don't get a deal done. He has an incredible year, and then literally prices himself out of the market and doesn't re-sign with the team, even though it's pretty clear he wants to right now. So I think that would be totally Leafy. I don't know if it falls under the category for this game, but I'm going to go with that. So
fair enough.
All right, a couple other topics I want to get to, Frankie.
Mm-hmm.
Fraser Minton plays his first game in the NHL. I didn't think it was his best from what I've seen. Obviously, we've only watched him play in the preseason before that, but it wasn't a great effort, I didn't think. I thought that whole line struggled, to be honest. What do you think of his performance, and do you think he makes it past the first 9 games?
Ooh, it's a little hard after the first game, but if that's only what we're going with, you can tell in the regular season things get quicker. There's less time with the puck. It's something that he's going to have to adjust with. See, again, he's playing with house money, right? He didn't factor into the Leafs' plans. I think the Leafs looked at their depth chart to say, we know who's playing first line center, second line center, and probably third and fourth. And, I think they want him to go back to WHL. I think they want him to play for Canada. I think this helps him make the team now, obviously, and really to dominate the WHL, and then come back in. So at least they know what they have coming in. I think this is too important of a year for them to put all that pressure on a 19-year-old kid who's still going to grow, who's still going to fill in. So no, Joe, I don't think they burn an ELC unless, knock on wood, there are some injuries that they say, hey, listen, with the cap and stuff, we have to, we have to keep him here. But I really don't see an advantage. I know there was some chemistry with Nyes and Minton in the preseason, which was great. But if it really doesn't show up there here in the next, 2-3 games, I can definitely see him going back and Holmberg coming up and then moving Camp up to the third line with and then Holmberg taking the fourth line center. So that's my guess. So no, I don't think he makes it past 9 games.
Okay, so you basically answered my next question, which was, if they do send him back down, where do they go from at that point with their third line center role?
Oh,
right?
it's Holmberg. That there's really nothing down the middle other than Holmberg that they do. And even Kampf, you're paying a guy 2.4, 2.3, whatever. That's not a fourth line center. You don't pay a fourth line center $2.4 million, right? Kampf is he's making in and around maybe less than a third line center. So I think he's right in that sweet spot. So I think Kampf slides into that third line role. I think Keith, he's gone on record as saying that he likes a shutdown line, and maybe Nice, Kampf, and Yarncroke is that shutdown line that he'll like to use. And Nice has got to have a better game. I think he was great tonight either.
Had some moments, but yeah.
I think he had that breakaway in overtime, but like he wasn't his usual self. Maybe there were some nerves there too. I don't know. I just think he was doing, trying to do too much. But no, I think Holmberg is the obvious choice, and he had a good preseason, Joe. I think he deserved to be on that team, and he's a centerman, so don't think it's Robertson coming up either, because I don't know who else you have an option to put in the middle. The only other guy that had.
We talked last week just about how they were going to give Nylander at center a run.
And was I wrong?
They were right off of it. Yeah, like 2 days later, we said, yeah, they're going to let him try it out for a couple weeks. Like literally 2 days after that, he was back on the wing.
To be fair, I don't think we factored in the impact that Minton had in the preseason. I didn't think he was going to make the team. Like who saw that coming? They didn't even have it penciled in. So, you know what, Joe? If Nylander is providing secondary scoring on that second line, don't touch it. It's just don't touch it. You got Domi there, who will get his feet going at some point here. He's too talented not to. Only played 11 minutes tonight. It was like second last to like Reeves, I think. So I think they'll figure it out. If it's not Domi, it'll be Nyes there at some point too. So still a lot to figure out.
You mentioned Reeves. He was flexing his muscle in the pregame introduction and then flexed it a little bit in that first period. First fight as a Leaf. Did not have to wait long for it.
Nope.
Against Arbor Xhekaj. I thought he was throwing his weight around. I thought, here's the thing you need to know about Toronto if you're not from Toronto. We love guys that get into fights here.
Yes.
Ty Domi was a legend in Toronto when he was on the Leafs. When you went to a Leaf game circa 98 to 2004, and if you were on the upper bowl and you looked down at the lower bowl and you looked at all the jersey names at the back, I'd say there was a ton of Sundin, but there were a ton of Domis. And he was a fourth line fighter. So we like our lunch pail guys. We like guys that bring it every night and are physical and can throw the mitts around. I think he could be a fan favorite if he can just keep it simple, keep the guys loose, and bring that element. Because really, since Colton Orr, have the Leafs really had that? Wayne Simmons nobody wanted to fight Wayne Simmons, but he didn't have that cachet as in terms of being a fight a tough guy. So, what'd you think of his performance tonight? Xhekaj I'd say tied him in that fight. Arbor Xhekaj.
Yeah, it wasn't really much of a fight, but it was a draw. I think it was a draw.
Okay, from the scorecard, Frankie scores at a draw. Do you think Reeves will have a big effect on the team this year, at least maybe in the regular season?
Well, I can't say that the effect that he's going to have might be in the dressing room because we're not there, right? I think with him, there's more accountability. I think, a guy like him, the Leafs can maybe do a little more that they probably couldn't get away with if he wasn't there, a guy like him that wasn't there. And for him too, listen, he played 8 minutes tonight. Some of that because he was in the penalty box. Well, let's just call it on a night he'll play less than 10 minutes. As long as he's not a defensive liability, Joe, he's going to be in that lineup. And if you've seen him wash him before, he's not a terrible skater. He's actually not a defensive liability either. So if he does his job, and they were mentioning on the telecast tonight that one thing that he provides is a heavy forecheck. So he's coming. So if there's anything, if he creates some havoc in the crease, in the corners.
When you're a defenseman and you're on the train track and you hear that train coming, you feel it.
Oh,
who
did he nail tonight? Goalie? I think was it that led to the fight, right? Oh,
yeah, exactly.
It was clean. Sure enough, it was clean, and
a little charge, a little bit.
Well, listen, the ref's hand didn't go up, so I call it clean.
Of course.
But hey, Arbor Wi-Fi, whatever they call him.
Do you know why they call him Wi-Fi?
I don't know.
I found out today.
Okay.
One of my neighbors told me it's because his last name, the way it's spelled, it looks like a Wi-Fi password. It's pretty good, right? It's so true. That's a good one. That's a good nickname.
That's good.
Whoever came up with that is a solid nickname.
I thought maybe that's just another way you say it because
no.
Right? Anyways, a guy like Reeves, for what he does, and knowing that there's like a policeman on the bench, again, is he gonna make a huge impact? No. But where it will help, I think, is allowing the Stars to be step a little bit out of their comfort zone, knowing that they have someone to back them up. So, you might have the impact there. So, but hey, it was another night at the office for Reeves. A fight, couple hits, and he actually had a couple scoring chances too. So, all in all,
the roof would have went off that place if he would have scored.
Oh yeah.
And all right, last question about this game in particular. Do you think Keefe makes any changes to the defense for next game? Because they just did not look comfortable out there, especially in the defensive zone.
No.
Their defensive zone coverage as a 5-man unit even was not good.
As bad as Brody was tonight, Liljegren had a bad giveaway, but I thought he had a solid night.
Yeah.
There is no way Simon Benoit is getting into this lineup. Unless there's a catastrophe. Simone. I'd rather have Chris Benoit in my lineup than Simon Benoit.
Immort.
No. The wrestler, not not what he. Anyways,
yeah.
That's how bad Simone Benoit is. Like, I just think the drop from 6 to 7, and Gio's probably your 6 to 7, is bad, and it's really a shame Connor Timmins didn't make it, or else I would have answered your question with, Timmins is in and, Gio's out type of thing, right? So what I do want to mention, though, Mark Giordano took me back to Superfly Jimmy Snuka tonight. If you would have saw him jump into that scrum, he did that.
Off the top rope.
Off the top rope, and he got some air. So for a guy who's 40 years old, who's a year older than us, get that air on the ice was pretty impressive. So hat tip to Gio on that one.
Gio Superfly Giordano. All right, Frankie, I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions.
All right.
Like predictions for the year. We call these one-timers because we want the answer short and sweet, and then we get to the next one. Okay, you ready for it?
Absolutely.
Okay, over under Matthew Knies 20 goals.
Over.
Okay, I'll say over as
Just
well.
over.
Bertuzzi 30 goals.
Under.
I want to be different than you, but I agree. Under. Marner, 100 points.
I say he just gets it. 100.
Okay. I'll say under. 99 again.
Good.
Poor Mitchie. Matthews,
The hell
50
with him.
goals.
Over.
Yeah, by tonight's standards, yeah, that might be the
He's
easiest one
healthy.
of all
He
these.
looked healthy, Joe. That's actually
Yeah.
he looked healthy.
Yeah, I agree. Over. John Klingberg, 50 points.
I want to say over, but he can't stay healthy. I'm gonna say under.
All right, I'll say over just to be different from you, although
Okay.
I was going to go the other way. Who plays more games, Wall or Sammy? This should be an easy one. I don't even know why this one's on the script, to be honest.
I'm gonna take Wall.
Wow.
I'm sticking to my guns. Wall ends up being the number one guy.
That should be on our bold prediction category. I disagree. Sammy's
Okay.
for that one. Did they trade for a forward first or a D first?
I think it should be, do they trade for a centerman or a defenseman first? Because D are really hard to find.
It all depends,
Again,
I
so are
guess, on the
centermen.
Minton experiment, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna say with cap considerations, I think they go for a D first. I don't think Trey Living's happy with this defense.
How can you be after that one game performance?
Yeah, I think they got to add some obvious. Oh, it's obvious. Everybody knows they got to add some sandpaper. I think they go for a defenseman first.
All right. Do you think the Leafs will win the Atlantic Division?
Yes.
Will Ottawa make the playoffs?
No.
How many Canadian teams do you think will make the playoffs?
2.
Wow, that is low.
Leafs and Oilers. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just not sold. Like, I'm just not sold on some of these teams. Like, maybe the closest other team I would say might be Winnipeg, just because of the goalie.
Vancouver could make it, but a lot has to go right for them, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Leafs will have more than 2 reps at the All-Star game.
Matthews, Marner, and with an injury, Nylander, or a fan vote, Nylander gets in. So 3.
I feel like they're more they want like guys from the host city. So I think they'll definitely have more than 2. I don't think Nylander's been to an All-Star game yet, has he?
Nope, should have been there last year.
Poor guy, man. He totally deserves it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, give me your Stanley Cup final and Stanley Cup champion.
You know what I want to say, but I'm not gonna say it. It's
You can't throw that jinx out
not
there.
for fanboys here. Actually, you know what? I think they get at least to the semis. I'm gonna take Dallas in the West, New Jersey in the East, and I'll take the Dallas Stars.
I'll go Edmonton and New Jersey. I think New Jersey's going to have an incredible year this year.
New Jersey,
was so impressed
they get
with
there
them last year, and I think
they get a goalie. I think New Jersey, if they get a goalie, look out. Yeah.
Or one of their goalies turns out to be half decent. I think. Listen, we've seen teams win the Stanley Cup with just decent goaltending. That's all they need. I think they're that good.
It's easy to say Carolina, but Freddie Anderson's not. It's not that guy. So I think we all agree to that one. Oh, I got one for you.
Okay.
Who's more likely to make the playoffs? Okay. Chicago or Pittsburgh?
I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I still think you disagree?
I'm taking Chicago.
Just because the one game yesterday?
Because
Bedard does look
no.
From what I've seen in highlights, he looks incredible.
Not just from the one game, but Chicago's going into every NHL arena this year. Everybody's got the Bedard hype, but they're going to take them lightly. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, has added Carlson. They seem to be, they have all this supposed high-end talent. They stink. I don't have Pittsburgh making the playoffs. But what I'm saying is, if I had to pick a team that was, for my end, closer to get in from the West to the East, I think the West is a lot easier to get in than the East. That's why I'll take Chicago.
Okay, I'm gonna have to hard disagree with you. I
I don't
think,
care.
okay.
That's what we do here. That's what we do.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here? I'm going to the game Saturday against Minnesota, so that should be
Ooh,
fun.
and I will be there on Monday for
Look
the
at that,
debut
for the Bedard
of Connor
show.
Bedard. Yes, sir.
Look at you! Wow.
It's work related. However, I will be there. So it is work related. Yeah.
Sure. All right. Before we get on out of here, Frankie, I do want to say one thing. I was a little disappointed and like surprised that they didn't mention anything or put anything on their helmets, a decal in regards to Rodion Amirov, of course, the young prospect of the Leafs who lost his battle to cancer. I think, what was it, a couple weeks ago, a month ago? It wasn't that long ago, anyways. I think they should wear a decal or something on their helmet, something to honor this poor kid that, hadn't it been for his unfortunate diagnosis, would have been part of the Leafs' future for a long, long time.
How can you disagree? Did you remind me, Joe? Did he pass away during the offseason or was it during the playoffs?
Yes.
Was the offseason? Okay,
yeah,
I thought maybe
I
thought maybe they did something in the playoffs last year. No, that was for Salming. I'm sorry. That was my mistake. They did it for Maurice Salming. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. I would think that.
But isn't it strange though that they didn't even mention it today?
You know what, Joe? Maybe they're doing a specific day where they're going to honor him. I don't know. There's really nothing to say that can, give any insight as to why or to play devil's advocate here. But that's my only guess, that maybe they do something specific and they keep it from then on. I noticed that there's an All-Star game patch on top, so maybe they didn't want to get too cluttered. I don't know. Stupid
but you
reason.
Agree with me though, Frankie. That's
100%. Yeah.
All right, for the first time in the episode, it took the whole episode, but we finally got there. You agreed with me on something. Perfect.
How could you not?
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit us up on Spotify, on YouTube. Drop us a line, a comment. We love the feedback, so give it to us, and we'll get back to you next week. A couple big games coming up for the Leafs. We'll be here to tune it all up and discuss it all for you. Take care, everyone, and let's go Leafs.